How is it going, YouTube? This is Malagant, and we are going to be checking out the new patch preview. The patch is going to be hitting next week. It's going to be live next week, but Xantai is posting it. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, he posted it yesterday, so we will be checking it out. And obviously, things might change just a tiny little bit, but I don't necessarily expect like big changes at all. Especially Xantai, he's kind of like favoring testing these things out inside the game instead of like giving feedback just at looking at like patch note like this, which is considerably understandable for sure. So jumping into it, the Shattered Realm continues to destabilize with the introduction of 5 new levels. So we're gonna have like 5 new maps for the Shattered Realm, which is quite cool. Really hoping that there's no ground effects. Environmental damage, we have enough of that, please. Several older spell effects have been updated. See the arc section, we are going to be checking it out. Massive update, this is so good. Many item skill modifiers with 100% damage conversion have been updated with the new spell effects. This is very cool as well. So just imagine like finding a legendary item to like basically convert the damage of your X spell. It used to be green, now it is red because like let's say it's converting to chaos or something. It's so cool. These type of changes are definitely very good flavor for the game. Some older sets have fallen behind. We took this patch as an opportunity to redesign them. We hope that you enjoy it. So Blood Rages, Iskandras, Clairvoyance, and Ulzuans. Those 4 sets and their corresponding like lower level versions basically are changing. And I think I'm going to be making a video about them like when they are actually live and inside the game. We're gonna like look them over there instead because like I don't necessarily know like how the change is right now. Even if I could find the screenshots there are some stuff. I kind of want to like look at the every single item and maybe just talk about them instead of like comparing them to the old versions, so that you kind of understand like what we could do about them basically. So the Shattered Realm, the boss spawn pools have been updated. So basically, combination of the bosses, they're updated, and also to smooth out the progression and reduce the nasty combinations. This is very interesting. It's a very cool change. So basically, we are not going to be seeing some of the nasty combinations, particularly at the higher levels. So overall, like what I can tell is that like from here, the Shattered Realm is actually like becoming a lot easier, especially before Shard 60, and which is in my opinion a good change. And at the same time, Shattered Realm is becoming a lot more rewarding, especially before 60 as well. So like after 60, you're not going to be seeing almost any difference at all. But before 60, it's going to be not only easier, but at the same time, it's going to be so much more rewarding. And that is something very big in my opinion. Another thing that I can say is that like Shattered Realm is going to have a vendor now, and if you have progressed to the limit or like to the given shard, you'll be able to buy the entire set from this NPC. And the Shattered Realm set is no longer dropping from the chest, and instead, additional crafting materials are dropping. So just simply put about like the nerfs to it, physical damage scaling is nerfed, so we are going to be receiving less physical damage from the monsters. The health scaling of the monsters are nerfed as well, they're considerably less HP before Shard 60. And the loot distribution curve, higher quality loot before 60 again. So the Robe and Crown effects has been updated, so it's going to be less obtrusive. Maybe not as shiny anymore, maybe. I'm not really sure. Same goes for like some of the shield skills, such as like Maven Sphere. Maybe it's not, maybe for the first time, if you're an Arcanist with a Maven Sphere, which every single Arcanist is taking it most likely, you'll be able to actually like see your character instead of like walking around like a bubble or a ball even. So we're gonna have new spell effects for Blade Arc, Body Pox, Counter Strike, Force Wave. I'm extremely excited about the Force Wave. Grasping Winds, Granado, Phantasmal Blades. Same again. I kind of want to check out like the new spell animation for the Phantasmal Blades. Stunjacks, Warcry, Vindicate Flame, definitely. Various lightning-based skills such as Doombolt, Aetherbolt, and some other lightning strikes as well. Interesting. updated the textures and the cast beam skills, such as the Aether Ray, changed the shaders for the Drain Essence, and some Chaos Invited weapon trails as well. Several crash fixes. This is interesting. We're gonna have increased area level ranges from like normal and veteran difficulty so that the players entering the foothills and beyond after completing the Forgotten Gods have a more suitable challenge. So basically Act 2 is going to be able to scale, well, starting from Act 2 I should say, Act 2, Act 3 and so on, we'll be able to scale like a lot higher levels. Simply because like if you have entered right after killing Warden, if you have entered the Forgotten Gods, basically when you were out from the Forgotten Gods, you were going to continue the Act 2, and that was like, you know, absolutely no challenge at all, and they weren't even like rewarding at all. So you were just like a walk in the park kind of deal. That is definitely not the case anymore, and that's a very good change. Very, very good change. About the itemization, we are going to be going basically, I'll try and like highlight the things that are like quite, you know, interesting to me, and the stuff that I can talk about a little bit at the same time instead of, you know, highlighting every single item. But the link is going to be down below if you'd like to check it, and at the same time if you'd like to mention something, please do in the comment section. I'd like to see what you're thinking about the items especially. So we're gonna start from right over here, the Absolution. This relic over here is probably still extremely strong, in fact. But it is absolutely nerfed. It used to be minus 100%, so you were able to recover all the time. Every single hit that you were taking was going through your shield. Now it's not going to be the case anymore. Instead of minus 100%, it's minus 35% now. The honor is a little bit nerfed. You go and the conflag, basically conflag with the Aether Ray, head to head, and Ugol's Hunger head to head with the Eye of Reckoning. It's the same changes. This is very interesting. Right over there, the component Seal of, you know, Blank, basically like most of them I'm guessing, adjusted the damage on the granted skills. So this reads to me that like they're kind of being buffed, but at the same time I usually don't necessarily enjoy having the components, these like seals with actives, simply because like when you're making a character, you don't necessarily make a character around these so much. So I kind of wish they were actually passives. There are lots of cases like where I have you know, enchanted flint on a level 100 character, like my Shieldbreaker actually, which is my main character. I love that guy. And like it's using an enchanted flint instead of a seal, you know, it's like a lot lower level component, simply because it's just giving me like a passive aura. It's so much more convenient and easier for me to use that, or utilize that even. Yeah, we're gonna check the mythical version of that. I want to talk about that one. The Kalagadra's Visage. Remove the percentage physical retaliation damage upgrades. So physical retaliation overall absolutely destroyed, but at the same time, just because of physical retaliation, some of the other retaliations are being affected as well. That is something that I want to talk about. Personally, I don't necessarily know if other retaliations were also out of line. I played some sort of like a sentinel that was like an acid retaliation. So because how you're able to, since you're able to, I should say, instead of because, since you're able to convert physical into uh, the retaliation type that you're capable, you know, that you would like to scale later on. Let's say in my case it was acid, so even in that case I was able to, you know, convert the physical retaliation into acid and then scale it from there. They have actually touched a lot of like, you know, flat physical retaliation numbers even on some of the devotions. Just because of this, some of the other retaliation specs are being affected as well. I really hope it was let's say well deserved. I do know that like especially the physical retaliating warlord was just like out of his mind. It was kind of outperforming, it was overwhelming or something, but like at the same token, like I wouldn't like it to be, you know, touching like many other things out there either, and we're gonna probably like see it in a couple of weeks after the patch is live and people are, you know, reporting and feedbacking. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier to understand. This is very interesting as well. Conduit of Blanks. So most of the Conduit necklaces are being improved or revised with the modifiers granted by the series of amulets. This is very, very interesting. I'm really hoping we're gonna have like incredibly good modifiers because there's so much potential in there, and the conduits, in my opinion, is a big change. One thing that I'll mention is that like there's the necklace that I would like to mention, the Shattered Realm Ward. Hopefully I'm not gonna skip it, we'll see. Dreadfire getting the attack speed, I'm gonna mess around with that weapon definitely. The Hellborn two-hander is getting a conversion now, which is quite cool. Definitely. The Infernal Brimstone, the weapon that I'm using on the shield breaker, is actually getting a buff. The cooldown used to be 6 seconds, now it's almost half. That is insane. Yes. Thank you, Zentai. Mythical Aradra's Spellblade. Now, I have been searching for these Spellblades to make another shield breaker, just like the one that I have with the Infernal Brimstone. I wanted to have dual blades of these, the Spellblades, but now it is nerfed to the ground, and I mean it. So, it used to give all the way up to like, maybe even like 50% slow resistance, and now it is only giving 20%. The HP on it is entirely removed, so if you were dual wielding, you were getting about like, I think about like 600 HP or something is completely gone. Crit damage, you had 25% crit damage on the proc, each one of them. They're completely removed. And replace the fire strike modifier, I don't care about that. We are not gonna fire strike with that weapon. I mean, personally I wasn't. And then afterwards, the fire modifier on the Eye of Reckoning. This used to be 33 or 32. Now it is 12. So it is even a lot less than half. Like, I have, for a very limited amount of things that I have seen this big of a nerf, it is like incredible. There's there's some of this stuff as well that has been like absolutely destroyed. And I'm guessing that like well deserved because like they had it coming or something. Like I didn't get to test this. I was expecting to find one more of this. I've been whining about trying to, you know, find one more Spellblade on my streams for the past like 10 days even. It still didn't drop for me. And now I don't want it anymore because I don't think I would go for it. Um, I'm guessing it would still be strong, whatever I wanted to do on it. But yeah, it kind of makes you sad when you read something like this, so I'm not necessarily hyped about it anymore. Infernal Brimstone, the same thing over there, it's a mythical version. Rakajax is getting 100% electrocute duration and increased electrocute damage modifier to the primal strike. I recently made a conjurer, I don't necessarily know if you have checked it out. You can see it on my like build spreadsheet. I was using the Spark Thrower instead of the Rakajax because the Rakajax is missing the attack speed. This definitely makes a lot of sense because like when you're missing the attack speed, you don't necessarily care about like if the attack speed if you are making a damage over time, because you do need to like, you know, tag them every so often to be able to put this electrocute. And as long as like the duration is enough, then you can tag them every so often anyway, so that's fine. I want to show this. Reforge Chains of Oleron, reduced the physical damage to 15 to 21, added +2 to mandates, removed +1 through Oathkeep. This is an incredible nerf also, you guys. Just this line right over here is a ridiculous nerf. Like, I'm kind of glad that I didn't necessarily have a Warlord that is using this belt, because I think I would have been pretty salty. I like if you have watched me build some, you know, characters before, you do know that like I pay a lot of attention to the pluses, and this would like absolutely destroy my spec for sure. Instantly, it would just break like so many balances, the skill tree balances for sure. Okay, trying to see if there's like anything else that I would like to talk about here. The normal one over there. We can start to talk about the legendary set items as well. The Octavius set removed the cooldown modifier for the Aegis. So it is not necessarily like reducing the cooldown of the Aegis of Menhir. And it also has been nerfed quite heavily. If I'm not mistaken, this is about like 250 or something right now in the game, and it becomes only 30 now. That's a big difference, isn't it? The Bonemonger set now percentage elemental dealt as Aether. This is interesting. Have to check it out in the game and like theorycraft around it to be able to do something, but that's an interesting addition to it. There has been some changes to the Dreeg sets, and I kind of want to talk about this a little bit. There has been a couple of changes like this to various different sets out there, such as this one over here. Markovian Visor replaced the percentage cold resistance with percentage elemental resistance, or such as this one, the Markovian Plate Mail replaced the percentage fire resistance with percentage poison. These things are going to be making the game so much easier and making these specific items a lot more valuable for the late game. Mantle of the Dreeg, look at this one. 25% of the vitality dealt as acid, and then replace the poison resistance. And let me tell you something, Mantle of Dreeg is like a poison caster, sort of. If anything, you're going to be fine with your poison resistance. That's something that I didn't necessarily understand about this game, and I've been talking about this for a very long time in my streams as well, every now and then. When you're making an Aether character, you usually end up having like 150% extra Aether resistance. Like I was always saying, like why is that? You know, why is it that like I'm picking up like a legendary level 94 item that is like a Nightblade cold and it has like 78% cold resistance? Why? You know, like these type of changes are incredibly good, and those are like my highlights from this. So poison resistance is going away for P assistance. This is going to be making it so much easier to basically optimize your character, and it is going to be much more fun thanks to this. There are various different things like this in these patch notes. If you would like to check them, for sure check them out. They're pretty fucking cool. Shattered Realm Ward, the necklace. It used to give all damage, HP, if I'm not mistaken, all skills +1, and plus 3% maximum resistances. Now, it doesn't have pluses anymore. There are so many characters out there that are using just the necklace part for it, because like I said, extremely good necklace. Now it's gone. The pluses are being given back to you from actually having the complete set, so Shattered Guardian set right over here, in fact, it says increases the bonus to all skills by 2. So it used to be 1 if you have completed the 4 set bonus, but now it is 2, so it's like compensating for, you know, not having it on the necklace. So if you're going for the full set, you're still getting the pluses. But the necklace alone, you're gonna need to drop this, you're gonna need to open your bank, and you're gonna need to equip the Peerless Eye of Peronath. You'll be good to go. No, I'm actually like extremely you know, looking forward to the conduit changes. Maybe every single one of us are going to be, you know, crafting conduit changes and gonna realize how awful it is to craft those things, because like you're gonna have to search for a prefix with the combination of a good suffix, and it's extremely expensive when you try it out. Extremely expensive. It's like 300k or something to craft only one of them, and they also require flowers and stuff. It's crazy. The Cyclone set reduced the percentage weapon damage to the Eye of Reckoning. Lightning damage modifier reduced as well. Increase the fire damage modifier to the Thermite Mine. Everything is fixed now. Oh, and yeah. The Thermite Mine buffs the Cyclone set. This is really hilarious. Cold resistance on the Ultos Herd is being replaced by the elemental resistance. Again, just as I was saying. So, the fun part is beginning right over here. We're going to be checking out the devotions. Affliction replaced Vitality Decay Retaliation with Acid retaliation and 50% all retaliation damage as well to the affliction. This is a very good buff to the affliction. The Aladra's Phoenix increased fire retaliation to 200 and the crit damage to 10%. Overall, massive buff to Phoenix. Added 80% retaliation damage to it as well. So a very good retaliation bonus to the Phoenix, definitely. The Blind Sage increases crit damage to 12%. The Chariots is actually giving you stun resistance now. This is a very good addition as well. Increase the health to 160 for the Gallows and vitality damage to 8. Kind of okay. Hound removed physical retaliation and retaliation for the pets. Increase retaliation to 70. Huntress increased bleed damage to 11. Hyrian added 100% all retaliation damage. This is such a good addition as well to the Hyrian for the retaliation. Very good. Magi added 15% reduced trap duration. Very interesting addition to the Magi. And increased fire damage to 7 to 11. How about this? There are probably some people out there that are like having a hard time following which devotions these are, so that like we can probably do a little bit of a better job here if I show you. So the affliction with the vitality to acid and percentage. So affliction is this guy right over here. It was sort of like underwhelming so far, so it's going to be giving you a little bit more like retaliation support. It's okay. And if I'm not mistaken, there's also like another buff to it as well. The Fetid Pool is its proc. Added retaliation damage to the attack as well. This is very good. Especially if you're playing a character that's like, you know, acid retaliating. It's going to be almost a must pick and it's going to be a good proc for you. The Phoenix right next to it, this one. This is going to be giving higher crit damage. So instead of 5 this node, it's going to be giving 10. And we're going to have a little bit of fire retaliate as well. With the all retail damage too. The Blind Sage with the crit damage increase. Blind Sage is somewhere around there. Yep. 10 became 12. The Chariots of the Dead. I don't necessarily know which node is going to be giving the stun resistance, but this is the Chariot. So I'm guessing like one of these nodes. If I have to guess, it's going to be one of the middle ones. It's not going to be the first one, but it's giving us some stun resistance now. The Hyrian is going to be the next one that I want to talk about. There's this guy right over here. This is actually like one of my favorites now, and it's gonna increase the retaliation by 100%. That's pretty cool. Very cool. Magi is right next to it. This guy. And the Magi is also giving you reduced trap duration and increase the fire damage. So flat fire damage increase from the Magi. Pretty cool. Messenger of War. Now this is one of those things that I mentioned earlier on, like retaliation physical with fire. As I said, like almost every single retaliation build out there would go for this guy. This is the guy, the Messenger of War. This used to give you like physical. Now it's just giving you fire, so therefore you cannot necessarily like convert this to whatever it is that you were playing. This is going to be only valuable for you if you are fire, or if you have like a very potent conversion from elements or from fire to whatever it is you're playing with. It's hard. The Oleron is, instead of giving PS resistance, is giving armor now, which is very interesting because most of the builds that are going like for the Oleron would be okay with armor. But this guy right over here, instead of like 20% PS resistance, we're gonna have 80 armor from there. So I would have guessed like it's gonna give something else than armor for sure. Rat is giving acid retaliation. Increase acid retaliation to 40 on the Scarab as well. The Shield Maidens is getting shield recovery and block chance. This is pretty cool as well, because a buff like this basically means that like Shield Maiden is this guy right over here. This node is becoming 6, and I think this node is becoming higher as well. Yeah, 18% recovery time basically. This is pretty good because like you'll be able to play a shield with any character out there instead of just like Soldier or Oathkeeper basically. in my opinion, it should even be higher than this. Like it should be very potent in my opinion. Just make it like so that like shields are very viable for like every single thing out there. But then again, it is very hard to then again it's very hard to like balance them for soldier and oathkeeper combinations afterwards. Of course, it's very understandable. But I personally almost never played with a shield so far in the game, honestly. It's kind of underwhelming like looking at these things. I don't know why, it's just me, I think. Stag increased retaliation damage to 30%, Targo 60% retaliation damage, 100 physical retaliation, pretty cool. Tempest added stun duration, that is so interesting actually. Tempest is something that I really like, but it has like so many nodes in it that I usually cannot take it. There's about like 7 nodes here, it has almost no affinity bonus. But when I mouse over them, I'm like, yeah, it is not so bad, you know, like it's hard. Now it's going to be giving a little bit of stun reduction, which is quite cool. High force increase crit damage to players and for the pets as well. Pet bonus is a little bit there. Ulo added freeze, petrify, and stun duration reduction, 10%, a massive buff to Ulo. I might even like consider taking Ulo from now on. Not even kidding. The cleansing voters, the dispel is extremely good in this game. But the rest of the clicks were like absolute dead almost, unless you needed these resistances. Now there's going to be more incentive to it, which is a very good change, you guys. Honestly, just gonna cut it right here and I'm gonna say this is one of the better patches that I have ever seen that Create did. Just so you know, like if anyone out there is watching it also from them, like kudos to them, honestly. Thank you very much for this. Like don't get me wrong, like when I'm trying to like criticize something, or when I'm trying to say that like I would have preferred this or I would have liked them to add this and stuff like that, doesn't necessarily mean that like I'm whining about it at all. This is hands down one of the better patches that I have seen so far. Unknown soldier with the crit damage increase, remove physical retaliation and the retaliation pets. Added 8%. Okay, we need to find a Wolverine. This is an interesting change. Isn't it this guy? So remove the physical retaliation and the retaliation for the pets. This might be very big, as I was saying, you guys. Another flat retaliation value being removed completely. It's only 30 though, it's not that high, it's not that high. Yeah, that's okay. Increase percentage all retaliation to 80%, that's pretty cool though. Added 8% white hits and poison resistances for the pets. Dryad's Blessing reduced the cooldown at the maximum rank 3.2. It was almost there anyways though. Yeah, it is 3.6, so it's gonna be 3.2 now. The thing about this is that you guys, like, this is an active. That is the problem with that Dryad's Blessing. I really enjoyed the Dryad's Blessing, but it needs to be an active. So like what I mean is that when I say active is that, like, for instance, look at this one over here. This would be a passive, right? It would go to it would go to one of your buffs or like auras. But the Dryad's Blessing, you need to actually, like, you know, hit with something. And most of the classes, they don't necessarily have this many procs as Nightblade does. Some of the classes, they have only like 2 or 3 actives that you play, and most of them are taken anyways. You know, you're even having a hard time finding another skill to like proc something. So that's the problem that I have with the Dryad. I wish it was passive, and in that case I would 100% taken it. Fetid Pool, as we talked about it, retaliation damage is being added as well. Now about the Hungering Void, this guy. This is one of those devotions that have been getting nerfed literally every single patch. Yet again it comes. Now the duration is static at all ranks with 16 seconds. That is a ridiculous nerf. 4 seconds of a nerf at the maximum rank. 4 seconds, you guys. Reduce the baseline chance of activation to 33% as well. Another massive nerf right there, and reduce the crit percentage to 30% from 35. I think it used to be 40 even before, if I'm not mistaken. and increases the Chaos Untitled damage bonuses 375%. So it is definitely like losing more and more value for you know, classes that are not necessarily Chaos or Vitality for sure, but at the same time, even if you're Chaos on Vitality, you're losing something like 16% uptime now, 16 seconds uptime now out of 30-second downtime. So it's very questionable. This is a very big nerf to it. I don't necessarily know if this was, you know, deserved. I'm not really sure. I don't even know if there was like so many classes still going for this, even though they're not Chaos on Vitality. There used to be a, you know, time, I think like at the very least around like the middle age of Ashes of Malmoth. Definitely like there was so many combinations of masteries that were going for this because like the blue build up, the red build up was just very good. And yeah, Messenger of War proc replaced the physical retaliation with the fire retaliation again, as I said. That is kind of questionable for me. I don't really like it that much. So this number right over here is being replaced by fire. That number over there as well, I think. And the proc itself is fire as well. So if you were like anything but fire retaliation, then you're going to be getting hit by this, which is something that I don't necessarily like, I think, about these changes. Phoenix Fire added percentage retaliation damage, very good. The proc, I suppose, the Phoenix Fire. This guy. It's going to be using your retaliation damage as well. Raise the Dead. Okay, now I want to basically these like 4 last nodes, especially 3 last nodes, sorry, incredibly good. Raise the Dead, summoned skeletons now reduce all resistances with attacks, you guys. What the fuck? I want to see like what number it is going to be. Is it going to be exactly the same number as like this one, for instance? Like this was extremely unique, right? Like as a spray we have like 28. So how you were dealing with this is that like unless you have a magical way of getting it from somewhere else, you're basically either getting the elemental store for like elemental builds, and then you were getting, you know, acid spray for everything else. um it was definitely possible to not go for like either one of them and try to like fix a little bit of a number from somewhere else, since you can have only one of the flat number. Now you can have like more options instead of Manticore, and that's incredibly big. All I want to see, like I really love this change, but all I want to see is exactly the same number. You know, I want to see 28 on every single one of these things. So raise the dead, summon the skeleton, this thing right over here, okay? 20% chance on attack to raise the dead, and that scales with the player bonuses as well. The attacks of these skeletons are also going to be reducing the target's resistances. Rumor increased the percentage acid resist reduction to minus 30. Tip the scales, added all resist reduction. This guy right over here is gonna have added all resist reduction as well. Reduce armor scaling with rank to 150. Ulzan's Decree. Is it this guy right over here? Yeah, this is a nerf to this guy. So as you can see, it is like 240 armor. Now it's going to be 150. Oh, that's a pretty big nerf, definitely. And the rumor with the acid resist reduction is like minus 30. That's actually like quite surprising for me. Rumor is this thing right over here is giving you minus 23 poison and acid. There's a lot of ways of like getting minus acid and poison in this game, so that is why it was like very surprising for me. If anything, like I was expecting them to buff this thing, the fire resistance from the Eldritch Fire, minus fire. I was expecting them to like make this 35 on par with Chaos Resistance. I was actually very much expecting it to, but it's not there. There's something that I forgot to read. I'm pretty sure it is this thing right over here. The Bismeal command, summon pet, now also reduces all resistances as well. So this pet right over here. So this pet right over here. I've recently made a guide about like the Cavalry Summoner that I have. And we literally have 4 nodes into this, and I don't necessarily like this pet, so I didn't even put it. It is such a good change to it right now. So it is going to be having minus resistance on top as well. So it's going to, you know, replace the Manticore at the same time. It is so good, so good. These 3 changes from like minus resistance stuff, or like resist reduction, I should say, flat resist reduction. It's a very good change, you guys. I really dig it. Now jumping into the spicy part. Soldier, all around nurse. You guys ready? I'm so sorry if you're playing a warlord, by the way. I'm so sorry. The counter strike reduce percentage retaliation damage added to the attack, scaling with rank 15 and 20 at the ultimate. You guys want to see it? Maybe. Let's see. Soldier. We have counter strike, ultimate rank, 22% retaliation damage. It became 20. Not the biggest nerf. The field command percentage armor scaling ranks 9+. So up until like rank 9 it is fine, I think. 25% at 12 and then 30 at the ultimate. Let's check the ultimate rank. Field command is very hard to get to the ultimate rank, but 3% of a nerf there. What about 12? Instead of 25, no, instead of 28 we're at 25, you guys. Yeah, so 3% nerf there, which is okay. Like field command is still very, very good. Overguard. Oh, this is the guy over here, you guys. This is going to be massively nerfed now. Increase the cooldown to 24 seconds. It was 20. It's a big change. Reduce the percentage shield recovery time scaling to 35% at rank 12. Let's see like where we are at rank. It was 45. That's already a big change. 45% at ultimate. So if you want to take the same value from 12, you need to go to the ultimate rank. That's just insane. Reduce stun duration now scales with 50% to rank 12, and if I'm not mistaken, you are immune to stun. Yes, 100% reduced stun duration. Now it's only going to be 50% and 60% at the ultimate. Increase the percentage health regeneration scaling with 135 rank 12, 220 at the maximum. Okay, 20% off there to the health regen. Markovian's defense increases the cooldown reduction to minus 9.5. I think it's this thing, yeah. So if you remember, this was like 4 seconds right over here, guys. That was a nerf. Like it's instead of 20, it is 24 now. But this is instead of 7.5, it's 9.5. So we're saving like 2 seconds from there. So it's overall 2 seconds downtime. Added minus 10% shield recovery time. That's quite cool as well. So half of the shield recovery is being saved as well. That's nice. Or maybe even all of it. If I have to check this again, I think I do have to check it again. So reduce the shield recovery time scaling with 35 at rank 12. 45. Yeah, it's actually saving it, you guys. It's actually saving it. So it is like more incentive to click in this, basically. But the massive change right over here is that this thing, guys. Minus 18% total retaliation damage modifier. So what this used to do is that if you pay attention, it says like total damage modified by minus 18%. That literally means that like if you have this node, you're going to be able to, you know, cast the overguard a lot more. But whenever you use the overguard, it's going to be nerfing you by almost 20% damage. But it was not affecting the retaliation characters out there because retaliation wasn't all damage somehow. Now it will be. So it is nerfing the retaliation damage that you have by 18% as well. So if you are using overguard with a retaliation character, you're actually like quite crazily nerfed. If you want to go into this now, you will most likely not take it. I'm actually not sure. That depends on the character, I suppose. Shield training, reduce the percentage shield recovery time. And block chance scaling by rank 12%, rank 10, and 24. It's ultimate. So instead of 30 to 20-40. It's a big nerf as well. Overall, soldier, especially retaliation and shield stuff, to the ground. So we're gonna check out the Nightblade, I think, next, right? No, demo, my bad. Blast Shield replaced Fire Lightning with Elemental. That's quite cool. As you can see, it says like Pierce, Fire, Lightning, extra resistances when this thing was up. Now it's going to be giving cold as well, basically. That's okay. Fire Strike increased the weapon damage scaling at the ultimate rank, 138. That's pretty cool as well. Fire Strike buffed with the weapon damage scale. Explosive Strike increases the radius. I think it's like 0.3% or something. I gotta check this out. So it's like 3.4 meters target area on that one right now. It's going to be 3.8. Quite cool. It's going to be, you know, a little bit more AoE, especially for like a Purifier or something that's scaling with Fire Strike. Definitely. It's also going to be utilizing a little bit better of your weapon percentage too. So Explosive Strike being buffed. 40% by the ultimate rank. It used to be 35%, you guys. Blackwater Cocktail effects now visually matches the effect area better, so you'll be able to like clearly see where you're affecting with the cocktail. Temper increases the defensibility scaling with rank to 108 at rank 12. It used to be 96, so we are getting like what, 12 more or something? Yeah, that's nice. And Vindictive Flame is actually giving you fire retaliation. If you pay attention to this, there has been like a lot of fire retaliation support, isn't there? So they're trying to like support the fire retaliation quite a bit. I'm losing my voice, sorry. So the next one is going to be Occultist. Kind of meh changes to the demo. It's not the biggest deal, but nothing has been nerfed. Mostly just buffs. It's a good step in the right direction, in my opinion. Demo is, in my opinion, in an okay state right now, especially with the addition of the Oathkeeper. I have been in love with the Shieldbreaker combination, definitely. I've been picking it over like Paladin, I've been picking it over the Warlord, Sentinel maybe even, like, even though Thermite Mine is something, you know, a little bit more hectic to use compared to like Vulnerability. Shieldbreaker was like a very good combination for me. Demolitionist was actually one of the masteries that I didn't necessarily play all that much. With the addition of Oathkeeper now, I played it like, what, 3 times or something? It's actually quite amazing. So Blood of Dreeg increased the health regeneration scaling ultimate rank 214. Let's check this out. 240. It's hard to go to the ultimate rank with this one. Not every single character can go. But if you could, you're actually getting about like 42 extra health regeneration per second, which is not bad. I've talked about this on the latest patch. I actually like what they're trying to do to the health regeneration. I really dig it, because health regeneration almost doesn't exist in this game, because you're kind of like depending on either lifesteal, you know, attack damage converted to HP. You're depending on like your procs from the devotions. Maybe you're depending on like these active spells that you use, such as the Blood of Dreeg. But you never ever almost depending on like health regeneration unless you have like a gimmicky character out there. Now it is getting a little bit better. I don't necessarily think that like it should be so much better that like character should be sustaining just thanks to the regeneration at all. Definitely not. But it should at the very least be there, in my opinion. It should be definitely there. Aspect of Guardian added percentage all retaliation damage bonus. That is so cool, you guys. Sentinel is being buffed like all around the place. I kind of want to see like what is, you know, what kind of a percentage are we getting from here? But the Sentinel that I died and I misplayed so bad, if you would like to check it, it's like my RIP videos are on the spreadsheet as well. Spreadsheet. But yeah, like I misplayed pretty bad. The Sentinel was like already very strong, but Sentinel, like the acid retaliation too, and the Sentinel is actually getting a couple of buffs here and there. And one of them is this one. This one's actually getting all retaliation damage percentage. I kind of want to see like what sort of a percentage we're talking about, but this is a pretty good buff, very good buff. The blood burst, increased radius by 0.3, increase the weapon damage scaling at the ultimate rank. I think the blood burst is somewhere around here. Quite not familiar with it. This one. Let's see what sort of like weapon percentage we are getting. So it's 25 the ultimate. It's becoming 30. That's actually a pretty big deal to a modifier like this one. Replace the chance to terrify with a chance to confuse to the terrifying gaze. This is not the only change. There are a couple of like other changes to terrify into confuse as well, and I really like them. I don't necessarily like to terrify so much because it's actually not necessarily that good for most of the characters out there. You don't necessarily want your enemies to be running around. Instead, you just want them to be confused in the spot. CC them there instead. That's definitely a lot better. The Ember Claw, increase the percentage pet damage scaling, 120 rank 12, 130 ultimate. This is pretty good, very good. Infernal Breath is also being buffed. Pet attack damage scaling 80% at rank 12. Wow, okay. Men Flesh now heals all allies in a small radius around the initial target. This thing. I mean, this is not for my cabalist, so I cannot necessarily go for it. But this is still pretty cool if you think about it, like it's going to be healing the entire army instead of just one target. It's a very good flavor change in my opinion. Very good. Like unless you're playing something like the character that I play with the Bismiel set, and you have like the zappy birds, you're using these for the buffs, for the resistances, for the elemental buffs, for the others, maybe even for the men flesh. Now this is much more valuable, and that's very cool in my opinion. The second right is giving a little bit more white is resistance. All right, I suppose all around very interesting buffs to the occultist. Surgical in my opinion. Nightblade is the next one that we will talk about, and the quick cut is getting an animation speed of 20%, cutting even quicker, says Dante. That's pretty cool. Quick cut with the quickest cuts. This thing right over here is 20% faster. But Anatomy of Murder added a bleed duration. Pretty good as well. I want to see like how is the scaling of the Anatomy of Murder. It's actually 200%, so I'm guessing it's going to be like on par with the DK. If you pay attention to the DK, it's not like 75% increased duration. Now it's going to have like 75% increased duration on the bleed as well. So I suppose bleed Nightblade is going to be a thing. It was probably already a thing, but this is going to be massive buff because, simply put, increased duration on damage over time is incredibly big in this game. Because just don't want to delve into it too long, but very simplified is like you have several different sources of damage over time. If it's the same effect, in this case bleed, every single one of these can stack, and if you increase the duration of them, then you're gonna have them all stacked up for the longest duration. So it's going to be having the heaviest ticks for the longer duration. It's going to be a massive buff for a bleed Nightblade in this case. You should definitely be checking that out. Blade Barrier added control. This is quite cool as well. Blade Barrier has now like crowd control reduction scaling at the maximum. That's very nice. Very cool. Shadow Dance increase. This is very interesting. Shadow Dance was already alright and is getting incredibly buffed. Shadow Dance is not only reducing the trap duration now, okay, but also giving a lot more defensibility as well. And I say a lot more, it is a lot more. Look at this. Instead of 160, it is becoming 220 now. That is crazy in my opinion. The next one that we will talk about is the Arcanist. Arcanist is hands down my favorite mastery in this game, simply because of like the you know, the mirror, the maven, the inner focus, the nullification, of course, 100%. I really like the animations of like cold stuff such as the flash freeze and like frozen, and yeah, like I really dig Arcanist, but honestly, it does require a little bit of love. It is definitely getting a little bit of love this patch for sure. It's not going to be enough in my opinion. So, but this is, you know, beginning of something in my opinion, and we will most likely be seeing more of this in near future, I would say. So Aether Ray is now piercing the enemies. This spell right over here. I'm guessing we're going to be seeing quite a lot of Aether Ray builds popping up because of this. So you'll be able to basically just like Aether Ray all the time, like Scorching Ray from Path of Exile. Values adjusted accordingly on the skill. Its modifier, its item skill modifiers where necessary. So the damage of the Aether Ray is nerfed tiny little bit or somewhat, and to compensate for the fact that like now it is piercing. I actually didn't really like enjoy the fact that they nerfed the damage so much. When I heard about it, definitely not. But maybe it is going to be well deserved. We'll see. We're gonna need to check it out, try it out, definitely. Simply because like I was thinking Aether Ray was already some sort of like a boss killer, if you would like to say it that way. And then afterwards, you know, now it is piercing. I mean, it's going to be having that much of a damage for every single targets out there. But then again, like it's only gonna pierce like, you know, irrelevant targets, sort of like, you know, like while you're fighting Gargable or a nemesis, you don't necessarily care about that piercing effect. You know, it's some kind of like a quality of life improvement. This pierce thing, it doesn't necessarily, you know, I don't know. So I'm kind of against the fact that like damage shouldn't have been adjusted whatsoever. But at the same time, I mean, I need to play with the new values and see like if the damage is up there. If the damage is up there, then like it's fine, you know, definitely. Arcaneville is saying increased defensive ability scaling 150 at rank 10. You usually get to about like rank 8, rank 7 without spending any points thanks to the pluses, but so defensibility is 100, now it's becoming 150. It's a massive buff, but obviously this thing needs you to be below 70% HP, and it's only up for 6 seconds. Conversion is now giving you reduced trap reduction as well. This thing. Overload added Aether resistance. This is such a weird addition. This node right over here is actually giving you Aether resistance now. So a couple of like interesting changes to the Arcanist, especially the Aether Ray, like long coming buff to it. I kind of wish there was some buffs to the Panetti as well. Don't tell me it is okay. I tried an Aether Panetti recently and I really got disappointed. I didn't like it. I didn't like my character. That's the end of the story, I think. So the ground slam spines now pierces through the enemies, replaces internal trauma with the bleed. So this is going to be bleed instead of internal trauma. The Mogdragon's Pact increases the physical damage bonus for the pets. My bad. That is pretty sick. Heart of the Wild added a percentage health regeneration, and then the Orc Skin replaced the health regeneration with the Aether Resistance, just like the Overlord over here. We are getting Aether Resistance from here, you guys. And the health regeneration from this node is jumping into this node instead. And I'm guessing the values are going to be staying about the same. So overall, so far it has been a buff, but one thing that I can tell is that like I am not necessarily sure the internal trauma changing into bleed is a buff or not. That's what I don't know. Simply because in some cases it could actually be a nerf as well. Because as you know, if you're converting from physical to anything else, trauma is capable of converting with you. But now it is bleed, so that is gone, and at the same time you cannot convert to bleed. So if you aren't scaling the bleed now, that number is not gonna do anything. So it could actually be a nerf for some cases, but I'm not really sure. Raging Tempest percentage elemental reduction scaling at the ultimate ranks 45% by the ultimate. That is a interesting change because I think this was 40 before. Yeah, it is 40. It's now 45 to this thing. It's a Raging Tempest indeed. Savagery fixed an issue at the percentage weapon damage scaling at the ultimate strengths did not actually increase the damage. That is so fucking weird. All these years. As the skill was balanced around this bug, it is now fixed. We have adjusted the percentage weapon damage scaling at the ultimate ranks. This is a net buff. I want to say the same thing for the Righteous Fervor from the Oathkeeper as well, right over here. Right over there. So they were working about the same. Overall, Shaman has been buffed. I'm just not sure about that Ground Slam. That's exactly sure. Inquisitor is next one, and Aura Sensor is receiving its 5th consecutive nerf. I don't necessarily know about it, I'm just making stuff up, but it's funny. Now the Aura Sensor is giving you minus 40 at the ultimate rank. It used to be minus 45. Word of Arms increases the cooldown reduction 6 seconds instead of 3, right? That's quite big. It's quite big. Steel Visual reduces the damage bonus against Eldritch and Chthonians. Rank 12%. That's a massive nerf as well. So it used to be 20%, now it's going to be 12 only. And 18% at the maximum. So the ultimate rank is not even up to or on par with the normal rank right now in the game. That's a massive nerf as well. So Inquisitor has been nerfed one more time, other than, you know, a two-hander Inquisitor, I suppose. But at the same time, is this even a buff for them? Like, you'll just be able to heal yourself a little bit more often. It's like a weird change, you know what I mean? It's definitely a buff. I mean, still though, like it's not that big of a deal. Like, don't think this is going to be saving anyone. Necromancer has some very interesting changes. Look at this. Especially the Reap Spirit is very interesting in my opinion. So the Dread replaces Chance to Terrify with the Confuse. Very good change. Again, instead of Terrify, you're confusing the target. Ill Omen replaces Terrify with the Confuse once again. The Necrotic Edge replaces Chance to Terrify with the Confuse once again. And the last change significantly increased the weapon percentage damage and increased the vitality damage scaling with the rank as well. And on top of that, the Wraith duration is 18 seconds, you guys. It used to be 12 seconds, now it is 18, and it says significantly increase the weapon damage and the vitality decay damage as well. So Reap Spirit is, if not, it is a thing now. That's what I can tell you. You're gonna check that Diviners set. That's interesting. Like I might even like try and unite this, or like, you know, have this on my own Kabbalist as well. Definitely, we'll check that. So the last thing is the Oathkeeper. Aegis of Men here. Are you guys ready for this? If you're, I am sincerely sorry if you were playing an Aegis of Men here character. Reduce the weapon percentage scaling. 405 at the ultimate rank, okay? So it used to be 445, now it is 405. You're usually at the ultimate rank if you're, you know, maining Aegis of Men. You should be, and you usually are. So now it's like 40% less weapon. Reduce the physical and fire damage scaling at the ranks 22+. So around these ranks, the physical and the fire damage scaling is nerfed as well. Avenging Shield, the crit damage scaling ultimate rank is 45% now. It used to be 60, so you basically lost 15% crit damage from it. And the reprisal burn damage scaling with the rank is reduced as well. This guy lost burn damage basically. This is one of the changes that I definitely didn't like. This is so fucking interesting. I don't necessarily understand this. Like, it is targeting the entire Oathkeeper. Obviously, not necessarily just one ability, because it's the utility of it, which is a change that I don't necessarily like so much. Increase the cooldown to like 24 seconds and reduce the retaliation damage scaling as well. Like the retaliation damage scaling, okay, maybe retaliation is a little bit out of the line or something, but the increased cooldown is just too big. It used to be 20 seconds, now it's just 24, so you have that much more of a downtime in between things, and that is a big nerf in my opinion to the Ascension. Ascension is pretty big, so it is very hard to balance. It's crazy big. Ascension is like, I have played a couple of characters with the Ascension, so I don't necessarily know if this is justified, but I don't like the fact that it is being nerfed this way by putting 4 seconds into it like that. Eye of Reckoning movement speed reduction, additional 4%. Can't say I like it. I am guessing that you can like overcome this by overcapping your movement speed. It's probably working that way. So it should be okay in most cases if you want to be moving at the maximum speed, but yeah, don't quote me on that one. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just like hard capping your movement speed and reducing it by 4% while you're spinning. That's one I'm not really sure. I'm gonna need to test it out when it comes. But it's obviously like a clunky way of fixing it, so I don't necessarily enjoy it. But if you're capable of like, overcoming it by overcapping your movement speed, it should be fine. Heart of Wrath, increase the base fire damage and the burn damage scaling with the rank. That's pretty cool. Heart of Wrath is pretty cool. Definitely, it's making you some sort of like a beacon of fire and burn. And the damage scaling is increased on all ranks. Rebuke, reduce the percentage of all retaliation damage scaling at the ultimate ranks, 185 by the maximum. This thing, 185 at maximum, let's see. Used to be 220 actually, that's a big nerf as well. Resilience, reduce the physical resistance scaling, 12% and rank 12. I was sitting on 10, I think. That's a minus 4% physical resistance. That's a huge nerf as well to that. Righteous Fervor now, fixed an issue. Yeah, we read that already. It's the same as the Savagery. Safeguard, reduce the armor scaling with rank. This thing is giving less armor now. Summon Guardian of Empyrean is also dealing a little bit more damage now, apparently. The damage scaling of these pets are going to be a little bit better, apparently. So this is actually going to be it with the entire patch. Like, obviously I did skip quite a lot of like itemization, and I'm going to be linking this link in the description below. Feel free to like check it out yourself. In conclusion, I want you to like get one thing. If you're running a character, listen, if you're running a character that was soldier, this guy for instance, soldier Oathkeeper, right, with the overguard, you're running Aegis of Min here, with Ascension, with Rebuke, with the Messenger of War over here, and you were running with Chains of Oleron, Absolution, and Octavius. If you had this character, literally every single thing that I have said is nerfed to the ground. Every single piece, and it's not even a small nerf. And I think it was possible to have such a character. Crate can be sometimes ruthless. Sometimes Crate can definitely be ruthless, but apart from this, like this is just me memeing, obviously. But apart from this, like this is one of the better patches that I have ever seen. Like, especially effects changes, some of these like minimum resistance changes on some of the set pieces, especially like useless poison resistance on a poison item becoming pierce resistance, or such as cold resistance becoming elemental resistance. Very good changes in my opinion. Some of the old resist reduction to the devotions, extremely good addition to the game, definitely. Yeah, so some of the small buffs to these classes are very good as well. I really didn't like the I really didn't like this Eye of Reckoning change. I really didn't like the Ascension 4 seconds increase, but I'm gonna need to play and I'm gonna need to like understand, you know, how it feels. If it's going to be feeling useless, I'm gonna need to like remove some points from it. Definitely, we could definitely, you know, take them and put them somewhere else. This is going to be it from me. I'm kind of getting tired. You could probably see it. I'm gonna go head to bed. It is about like 2:15 a.m. here, so thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video, YouTube. I'll see you next time, and please like and subscribe. I don't know how to do this. Peace.